Well, hello, hello. We have made it for another Monday. Welcome to Phoebe's Place. I am the host, Phoebe Wells, and what we discuss are very personal topics that normally would not be discussed. So that's what my show is based off of, and I have guests that gives an enlightenment and experience on what they've been through. So tonight we are going to talk about fertility for women. My special guest, she is an amazing, powerful woman, y'all. Listen, when she gets up to speak, I'm going to have her information. So if you want her for a speaking engagement, a chat with women, she is very, very good and resourceful. So help me welcome Mrs. Tiffany Mathis.
Hello. Hello. I'm so excited and happy to be here. Phoebe, you're amazing. I just have to say you're amazing. Just doing this, your heart for women and your heart for people in general is just pure. I've known you for a long, long time. but and you've seen me grow and grow up. It's amazing to have this conversation with you in this time. So I'm just appreciative of just you even thinking of me
Oh,
and wanting to have this conversation with me and share my story, our journey in life. So I'm just happy about this moment and being here with you and with
yes.
everyone.
Yes.
So
And if you have any questions or concerns, you can comment. We'll pull it up. She will address it. We will have a topic off of it. But I really want, especially those of women, please sit and listen because she has done her research. She has done her experience. She has walked the walk. And she has a beautiful daughter, her walk, and her
yes,
beautiful lyrics. So she's going to
yes.
explain that. What I want you to start with, Tiffany, I keep telling everybody I know some amazing people. Okay. So when I met you,
Uh-huh.
we were at Worship and Truth,
Yes.
and I want you to kind of start us in that area. And being single, getting
Yeah,
married.
okay. Yeah, definitely. I could start there. Because it ties into my journey too in infertility with issues with fertility because I wasn't even thinking about it, right? Because for me, when I got saved, I vowed to God to save myself for marriage. So I did not have sex before marriage.
Hmm.
Um, and that may not be anybody else's journey. It's just really this is just my story. And with that, I wasn't even thinking about I took for granted actually looking into if I would be able to have children. That wasn't even on my mind. For many years, I said I didn't want to have kids. That was literally my mindset. I was like, I'm not trying to have no children. I'm good. I'm happy, whatever. So that was my original mindset. And I was young, didn't know any better. I was single, happy, fulfilled, um, living my life, traveling, having, great relationship with friends. Just really, I really focused in on my relationship with God, focused in on my career, working, building my life as a single woman and just waiting like if marriage was for me, I was like, God, you'll send the person in the right time. Fast forward, I would say I don't know how many years it was that I had left Worship and Truth when it's been some years when I
Hmm.
ended up meeting my husband, my now husband. I met him in 2016, 2015. We became friends and we worked together. I was actually his boss. um, I was his boss. We had connections and people that we knew, um, which is very interesting, but we never met each other outside of work, right? But we knew people like he knew my brother, had worked with him, but I had never met him, didn't know him until then. We connected, we had conversation. Um, just our first time talking was just ease, like it was so easy. Um, and so it felt very comfortable. He made me feel comfortable. And also we were on the same page as far as not having sex before marriage, right? That was an important factor for me. Too, and then we just were aligned, like our lifestyle, spiritually, mentally, how we wanted to build our lives, all of those things. We had the same mindset, and it was God ordained. We prayed about it. I mean, I prayed. I had a whole list. I was actually leading a singles group at the time, and I just
Wow.
had them read a book, and it had like 25 things you should do before you get married. And one
Mm,
of them was a list you should write out. And on that list, it should be like things that you know you just cannot compromise on in your spouse. And then like things that are just like kind of, you probably can just give on that. And those are
mm,
usually the, what do I say, like the lightweight stuff. Like you can, it's nothing. So did that. And the funny thing is, he met, I mean, I was detailed. And my
I believe.
husband is everything on that list. And I didn't
Mm,
realize it. Like I didn't realize it while I was dating him. I didn't even remember the list until 2 weeks before we got married. And I was at a Bible study and I happened to have the same journal that I wrote it in. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. Like down to him even playing music. Like it
wow.
was that detailed. So get married. Well, let me slow down. So we got together, he proposed, right? We get married.
Mhm,
Um, the first year of our marriage, I mean, we weren't thinking about having children. We
mhm,
weren't thinking about that because we both had decided that first year it's supposed to be, just you and I. We decided for us it's going to be just you and I so that we can just develop our bond, grow together as a
mhm.
unit. Now, I have to say something important here. At this time, I was older. Um, so I'm in my mid 30s when I meet him. And
Okay.
you can hear people like little side remarks of like, hey, you're getting older. When you do get married, you might not want to wait that long. Like, don't give it a year, and because you're older. And okay, those are factors, right? We understand that. But these are things I want to say that you should think about what you're saying to people, even in good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be mindful of what we speak to people because we don't know where
Yes.
they are in their journey. We don't know what
Mm-hmm.
they're going to experience, and we don't know what they have experienced either. So,
Mm-hmm.
persons and haters. um, I think some people can be haters, but I think also in well intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
People can still speak things that can be impactful in a negative way to a person, but not
Mm-hmm.
intending to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
With our good
Yes.
intentions, we could say, "Hey, because what we understand about fertility, what we know about having a baby, um, we know that you need to. It's better if you are a little bit younger. That's just the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biology,
Yeah.
right? When you get older, there are a few more complications that you can face.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that, I think people speak certain things because they care about you and
Mm-hmm.
they want the best for you. But in that, it can be impactful negatively. So you have to think about what you're saying. So, and then and with that, thank God I was grounded in, and me and my husband were both grounded in what we had decided for ourselves. Not only what we had decided for ourselves, what we had put before God, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we put it before God how we wanted this to map out, and we wanted to be led by the Lord and what we ourselves came together as a unit, as a couple, deciding to do.
Yeah.
Um, so with that, you know, I didn't know what journey we would take, um, but I
Mm-hmm.
did know that I wanted to do it our way, right?
Okay.
And he wanted to do it our way, and I think that's important, important factor for women and couples in general. I mean, this is a woman topic, but I feel like this is like we were talking before, people. I feel like this is a couple's journey. It's not just
Yes.
a woman's journey, right?
Yes.
Um, because fertility is an issue that the couple faces. Um,
Yes.
it can affect either one, but from my perspective, I can tell you it affected me. It was me. So I don't know if you want to pause or interject anywhere. I don't want to just
No,
keep
I
going.
what I do want to say for those who don't know, this is her mother. Okay.
Hey, mom. Yeah.
And she got her pride and joy with her.
Oh, yeah. That's lyric with her. Um,
So, and that's important when you have, and I know we talked about that support, the
yes.
support system, and I love how you and your husband, you're making it about your journey, not
Yeah.
what everybody else, not what you grew up on. You
Yes.
two, let me pause. You and your husband, I when I see you guys, it's like you guys created this little world for yourself.
Oh.
And it is amazing what when I watch you, how you're walking through marriage. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? All couples don't do that. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not been peachy cream, but
Oh, yeah.
every time you speak, you always speak about the both of you, or the both of
Yeah.
you design and create for your marriage.
Yeah, because I feel it's we're connected, so it's intertwined, and my story is our story, and
Yeah.
we're humbly trying to do this right, right. We're just seeking God. We're both being perfected daily, right? And oh, Morgan, you're so funny.
Morgan.
Yes, you are my sister. That is hilarious. Um, but the it's of course we put God at the center of us, so that's what keeps us grounded, humble, focused, um, and focused on the union. I think it's
Yes.
really going back to that because it's a union, and we are a covenant, and when in covenant agreement, it's not just some random commitment we made. We're in covenant with God and ourselves, and so putting
Mm,
that as a priority, I think, is important. I know it's
yes.
important, and
Yes.
it is actually what helped me through this journey too, because as I go through my story, I'll tell you different things that I experienced.
Hmm.
So after, like I said, we were together. We were married for a year. Um, After year two, we decided, because and let me say this before we when we got married, because we decided that we weren't going to have children. I went on birth control.
Okay.
Um, uh, and me going on birth control, there was a lot of issues I found with that too as well. So I didn't like how it made me feel. I never had to do it before, so it was just like a new experience. Um,
Right.
so that journey in itself was a lot.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, okay, what's going on in my body? I have no idea. Like, and I feel like these are conversations that mothers and daughters should have with each other. These are
Yeah.
conversations that aunts and nieces, like women, should talk about different things that you may
Mhm.
experience um, when it comes to our bodies, our cycles. There's all kind of things tied into this issue or this conversation we're having about around fertility. So the first year, I wasn't worried about having children, so I really didn't look into getting myself checked out fully to find out if I could have children or if I would run into problems. It wasn't on the forefront of my mind at that time. Um,
Okay.
you want to? Did you want to ask a
No, go
question?
ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So that wasn't on the front of my mind right away. Now, what I did experience and have experienced is I had issues with my cycle since I was like in my 20s.
Okay.
So, and this is important because I want to say this to women: pay attention to your bodies.
Mm.
It's a factor. It's important. Don't just listen to people telling you, "Are you having pain during cycle? That's normal." Like that's because that'll cause you to brush off things that are happening in your body, that your
Mm.
body's giving you signs that something could be a problem. And not,
Mm.
and I'm not saying be paranoid. I'm not saying go overboard, right? I'm saying
Right.
be responsible and also be aware, right? Um, or like from 15 to 20,
Mm-hmm.
20, I'll say 15 to like 23, I had rough cycles, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary to me. Okay, I'll say
Okay.
that. When I turned around about 23, my cycles started to become inconsistent. And what I'll
Okay.
say is when they and these are things that you need to look for and pay attention to. And also talk to your daughters about, because I feel like we just once we can have that initial conversation with your child, your daughter, and you'll say, okay, she started her cycle. You have the conversation, or right before, right when we know that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If mothers are doing this, because I know some people may not have never had the conversation with their mom.
Mm.
I want you to know that it is okay. Don't feel nasty or feel like it's not something that you should be talking to them about. You surely should, because you do not want your daughter to learn about that from anyone else, because they can get misinformation and or information you don't want them to have.
Say that
Go ahead.
again.
You
Say.
want to make sure you're the one having the conversation with your child, because you do not want outsiders having that conversation with your daughter. And most likely, I'm going to tell you that tell you when you're a teen or preteens, you're having those conversations with your friends. And most of them don't know what the heck they're talking about. Because, I mean, think about it when you go back to when you were a teenager. Did you know it? Like, what did you know, really?
Yeah.
The limited experience that you had, right? So you want to
Mm-hmm.
be okay with having the conversation, because you want to be the one to influence, right?
Right.
And so I think my mom had the initial conversation with me around my cycle, what to do, all of those things. But I think a follow-up conversation or follow-up conversations could have been a lot more helpful too. But with
Right.
how we're raised, we're not, especially in the Black community, that's not something that we normally go back around. Let's cycle back and see, okay, how often are you having your cycles? Are they
Yes.
coming every month? Not just because you think they're doing something, because
Mm-hmm.
your child cannot be having they're not having sex, cannot have you having sex, because we automatically go to, wait
Yes.
a minute now, what do you mean you're not having your period? Like, what do you, and they can literally tell you, no, I'm not, like, I'm not having it, or it's coming. So when I was in my 20s, it started like I would miss months, or
Okay.
then I would bleed for months. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to get too gross, but you know what I mean? Or I would go for months. And so that's where those are signs that something's going on in your system that's inconsistent.
Mm.
Um, so that's why I want to make that point. You need to have those conversations with them and follow up. Don't be scared to follow up. And I know, teenagers can be very mysterious at some point, but once you make the conversation normal, I feel like and because we're women, the way. Don't make it a heavy, like, I'm coming down on you, but I need to know these things, communicate to me so that you won't have fear around it, so that we can get you the help you need, so that we can find out what's going on in your body. There's
Yeah.
all kind of things that can affect, right, our fertility. And us, especially as African American women, there's a lot of things we do face with fertility that
Mm-hmm.
other groups don't experience, based on how the medical field treats us. And I'll
Yes.
talk about some of those things that I experienced too, just being in the dealing with doctors, talking to people, and um, almost feeling like they didn't give me proper care. And
Wow.
I say that to say how they spoke to me, how they communicated information to me. Um,
And
Also,
this is
and
when you
go ahead.
were an adult at this moment, right?
Hmm.
Like you
Hmm.
were not a child.
I
So
wasn't a child, right?
as women, and we touched on this, as women, even in the church,
Hmm.
who are silently suffering, and
Yes.
because they feel that they can't talk to anyone, there's not a safe space for them.
Hmm.
This is bleeding over into the
Yes.
church. And then the young ladies, when we don't talk to them, because everybody don't get that talking education. They don't. Everyone don't get
That's
the
the
education.
truth. That's the truth. And I'm going to say this too, because you also, I give grace to the older generation too, because especially
Yes.
my parents had me young, not to
Hmm.
tell their testimony, but they had me young. And so I have
Okay.
you have to understand that they can give you what they have or what they've
Right.
been given, right? And so
That's good.
now that we're in this place that we're being educated and
Mm-hmm.
educating ourselves, and you're not too old to educate yourself on anything either, to open
Mm-hmm.
your mind to understanding. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's something that we have to embrace in the church, right? As believers, as kingdom people, the whole man needs to be touched, right? And so this is a part of the whole human. Like we're
Yes.
whole human individuals that need certain things talk to you
Yes.
about. And then some people may not feel comfortable with their mother, whatever, and that could be a thing.
Right.
But
Right.
you can be if you are a person that has knowledge or understanding, as a woman, as a mentor, as someone that's a aunt, a play auntie, godmom, whatever role that you are playing in a person's life, you can be an advocate for them. You can be someone, a safe place for them to talk to you about
Yes.
things.
Yes.
um of course you want to, if there's something serious going on, you talk to the parents and all of those things. We know those are things that we need to do. But when you were saying that, bringing it into the church and into the body of Christ, I believe that we have people that are willing. If you have people that are willing to have those conversations, then
Mm-hmm.
people and not made to feel like they're less than anyone else.
Yes.
You're not less of a woman. I want to encourage someone out there that you're not less of a woman because either A, you cannot have a child, or B, you're
Mm-hmm.
having difficulties having a child.
Yes.
Biologically, I want to say biologically, because there's some people that can have children, it just won't come biologically for you. And that's might be your journey, and that's okay. I want to say that as
Yes.
well, because I feel like people may feel like this is the culmination of womanhood, right? This is me having a
Mm-hmm.
child is like the complete package. And I, like we were talking earlier, soon as we you get married, that's usually like the first question that you're asked. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
people don't consider, right? That after me and Dev got married, a year after, like people were like, "When are y'all having a baby?" And you don't even know. And this is something to consider because you don't know. I think I read it somewhere where you don't know where someone is in their journey, right? Because someone could have
Yes.
just had a miscarriage.
Mm.
They could have, we
Wow.
don't know. People don't always talk about what they're dealing with. So you could be
Right.
asking a woman that just had a miscarriage, when are you guys having a baby? And she could have
Mm.
lost her first child. And you
Woo.
have to, you know what I mean? You have to understand. We have to be sensitive, right?
Yes.
We have to be
Her husband just chimed in.
sensitive.
Having children
Hey,
doesn't
honey.
come on.
Yes. So I want I really, it's a beautiful gift that God has given us to birth. Yes, we
Yes.
understand the gift of birthing, and it's beautiful. I want to say that
Yes.
as well. But don't make it where it is, I don't say this in a way, it may sound funny, idolatry. Like idolatry. Like it's this, like you're like you're losing your mind because you can't have a child. Like you,
Yes.
like, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because it
Mhm.
happens to, they go like, I can't bear this child. They'll go through many lengths in their body, take their bodies to the extreme, uh
Yes.
to just try to bear a child. And it just, that's just not the journey God has you on. And it's fine. You have to be accepting of his
Yes.
will. Right. So I
Yes.
just want to encourage, women out there that may feel that way. I want you to know that here, my daughter done broke out. She done broke out. Oh
Like you
Lord. We are talking about, we're
you
talking right now, ma'am. Let's say hello. Mwah.
Judy. This is
This
lyric.
is lyric.
She's
Sorry,
like,
everybody.
no need to be sorry.
All
No
right.
need.
Go ahead, Daddy. Okay. Love you.
And
Yeah. So when I say
it
prayer for
also
you,
see, and it affects women, especially as we get older. We go into the mental state, and like you said, that's our main focus. We forget
yeah,
about marriage. We forget about everything else,
all the
and
other good things.
having a child is that's it. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
It's more because we have to understand
Hmm.
everybody. That's not everybody's journey.
It's not.
Yes,
And it
baby.
and
One
it
at a
can
time.
it can affect your if you don't watch it, it will affect your relationship in a negative way. It will affect
Yes.
your marriage. The enemy will begin to play in your thoughts and in your mind, and that can cause a division in a marriage
Mm.
because you are on this. And then you have to remember you're on a journey, because then that can be a point of contention. And that's why I
Yes.
said in the beginning, you have to make sure that you're solidified in your union with
Mm.
your spouse, that you guys are both on one accord to understand. And I'm going to say something. My husband said something to me. He said, babe, I said, well, what if we can't have children? What, I'm in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And time he said, you know what, babe? No matter what, it could be me and you for the rest of our lives. We'll be able
Oh.
to love on other children. We have godchildren. We'll just love on other children if that's our journey, right? He said that
Mm.
doesn't make me love you less. That doesn't make me support. He was so
Yeah.
supportive, and I think
For-
it's important to understand that this is not a battle that you battle against each other. It is something that you're just an issue that you are facing together as a unit. So don't
Yes.
take fertility as just your journey. It is the journey of you. I'm talking to women, not just you. It's the journey of you together as a married
Yes.
couple. And I'm speaking from
Yes.
that aspect because, as believers, that's what we believe in, right? Marriage and then having a child. And that's why, so going back to just being careful how we speak to people,
Mhm.
being mindful and sensitive, because we don't know, right? We have no
Mhm.
idea where a woman is. We don't know what she's endured, or where that, I want to say where that couple is, not just a woman, because we'll focus on a woman, which is that's our topic. But a lot of
Yes.
times some men get asked the same questions, and we don't know what they're, what's going on there.
Yes.
And don't feel like you need to cast a level of shame and barrel down and say, I can't move forward in life and enjoy my life in the fullness of it because I can't have a child.
Yes.
That's just the enemy's design, so you won't enjoy your life and the
Yes.
life God has built for you,
So
whatever that is. It is His ordained order. So,
yes.
yeah, like I said, a year being married. After that year is up, we start talking about having a child. In our second year of marriage, where we remove all birth control, and I'm just like, okay, are we good? Like, we're ready to
Mhm.
start. Like, not necessarily actively trying, but like we removed all barriers, so it can happen, right?
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so during that time, though, I'm having issues with my cycle. All these things are happening physically with my body. So I had to literally, let me start going to the doctor. Let me see what's going on. Um, and I would have really bad menstrual cycle. So it was very bad cramping. All of these things are happening. So I was like, I
Mhm.
need to see what's going on. Ended up going to the doctor, um, talking to I went to my general doctor, and then he referred me to an OBGYN uh,
Okay.
clinic. And so going and just seeing what's going on, it was an ordeal. So first thing they were like, okay, well, let's see if you have fibroid cysts, because you have really bad cramping, all of the heavy, cycles, all of those things. We need to figure that out. Um, because all of that can affect your fertility, just
Okay.
so that you are aware, that can affect your fertility. So going through that, uh I had to have x-rays. I had to have I'm blank right now. There was a particular
The
thing that I
testing
did.
that you have to go
Testing.
through.
So just had to
Yeah.
go through testing, like did various tests um to see what's going on. Find out I don't have fibroids. uh they're like, okay, that's not an issue for you. Let's test you, do blood work, let's test your hormone levels, let's make sure those are, because those are things, if those are out of whack, that can affect you being able to conceive as well. um
Okay.
so they're looking at my numbers. And here's where I say you need to be able to advocate for yourself, be vocal about things, because um, talking to a medical professional sometimes, because they're the ones that you feel like are deemed educated and know all the facts, right, and know all the things, sometimes they can speak to you in a way in which um, makes you feel intimidated, right? Because you don't know the language or you may not understand all of the things. um it, it can be an intimidating moment for you. So you're
Okay.
like, but be confident in who you are, be confident in you knowing yourself. That's why I say learn your body, know what you're going through. When they're giving
Mm,
you different words or different things that they're telling you, ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Ask where they're getting this information from. Do your own research. Do not be afraid to research on your own whatever they're diagnosing you with. um
mm,
because you don't have to just take that word. Like, you don't have to just take that word. And I'm going to tell you a whole testimony. So I ended up getting referred to this OBGYN clinic.
mm-hmm,
In these clinics, sometimes you'll see more than one doctor, right? You'll go one day and can see a doctor, the next week you can go see another one, which I do not like that setup, because I like going to one person I can talk to, that know me, know my situation, kind of that whole thing. The
mm-hmm,
first time I went, after I did all my testing, that the first doctor immediately, she looked at my age. Also, weight is a factor too.
mm-hmm,
Um, so she looked at my age, my weight. Uh, she said talked about my hormone levels, all of those things, and she immediately went into, you're getting older. I know you want to start having children, um, but don't worry, you can adopt. And I was like,
wow,
"Wait, what?" Like, why I was like, "Well, is there something preventing that?" Like, no, we're not finding anything. You don't have fibroids. You don't have any cysts. You don't have anything that I can see right now preventing it. But just so you know, like, I have adopted a child. It's okay. Just went into that. So I'm just like,
mm-hmm,
why are we jumping the gun? Like, way to missing the whole thing. And so she was like, "But I want to have you come back in for more tests. I want to make sure that your fallopian tubes are cleared. I need to make sure that you're able to your ovaries are actually um that you're actually ovulating."
okay,
And so, which I wasn't aware of either. Like, you can have a cycle every month, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ovulating. And ovulation is important when it comes to trying to conceive a child.
wow, okay,
So, so that happened, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot of information. We're going to run some more tests. Fine, we'll do that. Also, we want to test your husband, make sure there's nothing wrong there, so that when you come together, it's no problem. Blah blah blah. Okay.
mm-hmm,
So we did all those things. I come back again. I see a whole nother doctor. Now this doctor, right? She comes in, and she, now mind you, this is after a year. I want to say this. This is after like a year of us trying, not
wow,
actively trying, but like, we removed all barriers. So
yes,
I'm just like, what's going on?
yes,
Um, and so we go, because at that point I'm like, something has to be going on here. I don't get it, right? I don't understand it. So we go, I go to the doctor again, and I see another doctor, and she says to me, "You have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome." She just
mm,
said it to me. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? She was like, I said, I just saw the last doctor here, and she didn't mention anything about me having PCOS. They said they didn't find any cysts. I like, that's a part of it. So I'm like, it's polycystic. So I need you didn't find cysts. So how are you saying that's? She was like, well, looking at your hormone levels, looking at your blood work, all of those things, you have that. You have it.
mm-hmm,
And she was like, and I'm gonna tell you right, and she said this to me, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna need assistance. You're gonna have to go through IVF. And I looked at her like, oh, okay. Like, you're not even letting me process this information. She just
yeah,
literally was like, no, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for many years. And I sat there and I was kind of like, okay, devastated, right? Like, I was so
yeah,
devastated because I really didn't understand. Now, let me just let you know, having PCOS doesn't mean you can't have children. It just means that you may run into some barriers. You're gonna have some
yeah,
difficulty. Some people won't.
yes, yes.
So just I just want to clarify that.
No, you're right because that's what I was diagnosed with,
Yeah,
and I'm that one that didn't really care. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was the one, but now affecting my daughter, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And she's
Yeah.
wanting information. I'm like, well, so
Yeah.
it is, like you said, very important us as moms to
Yeah.
talk to our daughters when they get to that, appropriate
Your
age. And
experience, right?
yes, yes. And I thought I did. And she said, Mom, you didn't. So now
Yeah.
she's dealing with this in
Yeah.
her age. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
are absolutely right.
Yeah. So I was, floored and devastated. But I'm gonna tell you something. God is so faithful and He is so good.
Mm,
So I left out of there. I was walking to the elevator, and I heard the Holy Spirit say clearly, "Do not receive it." He
okay.
said, "Don't receive it." Now, I don't know. He didn't clarify specifically, don't receive the diagnosis or don't receive that you're going to need to be assisted. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
care. I was like, okay, Lord. Okay,
Yes,
Lord. I'm not,
word.
I needed that because I was crushed,
Mm,
because I was like, okay, we're trying to do this thing. Like, I just, at least all I kept saying, we just want to have one. I'm good. Yeah.
mm,
And it was a powerful moment for me walking to that elevator. I was
okay.
like, thank you. I was like, thank you, God. That's all I needed. Like, just Lord, I just need
Yes,
a reassurance that you hear me and you know.
yes.
Because number one, IVF is not cheap. It is expensive.
Right.
Going through that
Yes.
process, and not only the financial aspect, the mental aspect, the physical aspect, it takes a
Yes.
toll on you. And I know I have friends that have gone through it, and it's been a quite a journey, and it is difficult, and it's not
Mm,
something that just people just doing just out of nowhere. They're literally, it's a work and it's a lot. And so I
yeah.
was like, I don't, Lord, like, it's been a year. Like, okay, I'm just gonna give this to you. I don't understand it. I didn't understand it. Why this is the journey I had to take. But I was like, it's the journey I have to take. I had to accept what He was doing.
Okay.
Um, and I will tell you. So that after that happened, I walked out. I told my husband what happened. I was like, yo, this is what she said. This is what's going. He was like, I was like, but I heard the Holy Spirit. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I heard God, and He said, don't receive it. And he was
Mm,
like, okay, it's okay, babe. Like, just really was encouraging me. Um, I sat with that, and I just, we continued on our journey, right? Um, I was scheduled to go back to that doctor, mind you, but I was like, I'm not going back. I'm gonna figure
mm,
something. So
okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna, revisit this, go to another insurance company. In the process of that, I actually ended up going on a cleanse. So I went on
Okay.
a cleanse. My mother decided to join me on this cleanse, and my husband decided to join me on this cleanse.
Okay.
And like after 3 days, I was getting so sick. And this is about a month after I got the prognosis. I'm gonna say a
Okay.
month and a half, maybe 2 months. And I was sick. Okay. And I was like,
Okay.
why can't I like do what everybody else is doing? I don't know what's different about me. And because, mind you, and I'll say this too, just to back up, before, while we're trying, there was times where I skipped a cycle and I thought I was pregnant. And so I would
Mm,
have my husband buy a pregnancy test for me, and I'm like, okay, this is it, and not be pregnant and be devastated, like literally be like crushed. And he would just be
wow.
like, it's just not our time, Tiffany. Like, it's just, my husband was like, well, it's just maybe not our time, let's just wait on it. So those moments would be like, so when I was getting sick, I was, mind you, because my cycle is so inconsistent, I'm not paying attention
Mm-hmm.
at all, right? Plus, I
Okay.
just got the diagnosis. Yes, I heard the Lord, but the diagnosis at the same time, there is a battle, right?
Yes.
I believe, but I have faith this whole time. I know God is there. He's here. He's speaking to me, so I know He's faithful. So I'm just like, oh, okay, Lord. Like, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, no, there's no way that I ain't pregnant. Like, that's the furthest. I was like, maybe I'm sick. What's going on? And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, this is at the height of COVID. Like, we're going through the pandemic.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, we're going through the pandemic. All of these things are happening.
Yes.
I'm supposed to go back to the doctor, mind you. I'm supposed to have another appointment. I just was like, I'm gonna wait on that, and I'm gonna go revisit. I have to find another doctor because I'm not dealing with them. Like just the
Mhm.
care, and that's why I was saying about advocating for yourself, making sure you're speaking up, and making sure you don't, you have a right to say, I'm not dealing with you anymore. I'm gonna figure out somebody that cares about me, that's going to treat me well. All of those things. That's important for us to know that we are empowered to speak on our behalf, and we're empowered to speak for ourselves and research,
Yes.
speak. You can ask questions. You can,
Mhm.
contradict a doctor. Do not be afraid to say, hey, that's not working for me. Or I don't
Okay.
believe that's the issue. Can you test me on this? Can you look into this? Don't be afraid to do those things,
Okay.
because there's
Mhm.
all kind of factors that can come into us actually being able to conceive. So
Mhm.
that happened. So my husband ended up, I took a pregnancy test. I had one pregnancy test left somewhere randomly in there. I was like, he was like, man, you think you're pregnant? And I was like, I don't, that, what are you talking about? No, there's no way. Like in my mind, I literally was like, there's no way. But yes, there is a way, Tiffany. What are you talking about? So I went in, I, I take the test. It's the 2-line one. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is that other line there? That's a faint line. What is going on? So I come out and I show my husband, I was like, do you see another line? And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, you need to go buy another one just so that we are
Right.
sure this is
Yeah.
happening. So after that, he goes, he was like, I'm still working. So he was working from home at the time. So he's like, I'm
Okay.
at work. Like I have to let me finish my hours. What are you talking about? So I'm like, okay. He's like, when I get off work, then I'll go. He goes and we get the one that says pregnant, not no. We don't. I don't need the lines.
Okay.
I need digital. I need to see it.
You need the actual word.
I need pregnant, not pregnant. I don't see no lines. I want the whole matter. Okay. I won't be no. We have no confusion. So took the test. We're waiting. We're talking. I'm like, oh my god, like, is this really happening? He's like, yeah, it could be, man. Like, I don't know. Like, so and then we get the results. I'm pregnant. And
Oh,
I'm just like blown. Listen, I
yes.
said, God, the things that God will do for
Come
you in the
come.
midst of it all. So for that woman that's waiting, know
Ooh,
he hears and he can do it. Like he can do
yes.
it. I don't care what a doctor says to you. I don't care
Yes.
if you feel like I don't know. Yes, he's there. He's able to work miracles. He's able to
Yes.
do it for you.
Yes.
So just know that and believe it. And I have proof that I'm
Yes.
living proof. You saw my child here.
Yes.
And that journey, even just being pregnant, because you get a prognosis and you hear that information, the enemy will start trying to work with the blessing. He tries to he tries
Mm.
to have you forget the word of the Lord. I'm going to tell you, he tries to make you forget the word
Come
of the
on.
Lord, but the word of the Lord is true and it's assured, and it will
Yes.
accomplish what he desired, what he has designed it to do. It will do.
Yes. Yes.
Don't fret against that. Know that it's his design for
Say
it to
that.
happen. When the word comes to you, believe the word of the Lord. So even against your own thoughts and your own mind,
Yes.
even what your mind is telling you, even what you like, no, he's able. And
Yes, he
so
is.
I was like in disbelief. My husband, we were both in like, what, you know, I was like, I don't even know if we really was like trying anymore like that. Like I was like, it was just literally God was like,
Yes.
it's now. And there was,
I have a quick question for
go
you.
ahead. Hmm.
So you started the cleanse. So
Hmm.
you got sick in the middle of starting the cleanse, or
So,
right
yeah.
before the.
So in the middle of it. So it was like the first day I was good. And it was
Mm-hmm.
not anything crazy. So it was just juice and raw food. I was eating raw vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
juice, and I was like, I'm gonna start a cleanse, get my body right. Like I need to get myself focused. So I was like, yeah, because we haven't been eating well. Like I'm doing this. And my mom was like, oh, I'm gonna get on that too with you. And then my husband like, I'm gonna do it. And then he quit like after a week. I mean, after a day, he was like, I can't do it. Not even a week. Let me stop. A day. He's like, I can't do that. This Ross
Okay.
one don't know what you're doing. I was like, okay then. I was like, all right. And then after like this, I was literally getting so nauseous, and I was like, what is going on? So my mind wasn't focused on that. I was like, maybe it's because of the way I changed, the way I ate, all the
Yeah.
things you just not thinking. And
Yeah.
so it literally happened just like that. I didn't know it was going to happen just like that, but it did. It like,
Yeah.
and during pregnancy, those, like I said, you get those, um, you get moments of flashes of doubt that can still come in your mind, even when
Yes.
you're holding that child in your womb. And
Yes.
I had been obsessively looking at like miscarriages and all of it. I was just, I was like, my husband one night was like, girl, if you don't put that phone down, go to sleep. If you don't stop. I'm like, I know,
But that's natural. It will happen.
it will happen. And God
I'm
spoke
not
to me in my
ridiculous.
bathroom. He said, listen, he said, Tiffany, I have the whole world in my hands. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think I can't hold your womb? Why don't you think I can hold your womb?
Mm.
So I got your womb in my hand. I have the whole entire world. I'm responsible for this. Where you think your little womb is anything for me? And I was just
Right.
like,
Right.
okay, Lord. When you get the peace of God, like, okay, I
Yes.
was like, all right, then,
Yes.
all right,
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes.
Because I had to recognize and understand the word of the Lord is the truth against
Yes.
what we think is facts, right? What we see is facts, right? When I even say think, what we know is to be factual, right? Doesn't mean,
Yes.
and just because you get a prognosis and just because you get a diagnosis from a doctor does not mean God is not able to work in the midst of that. Does not mean that it's the end. Wash it up
Yes.
at the end, because a lot of people will take it and just go into a deep depression, or can't move forward from it. You have to find a way to move forward. You have to, and that for me was my faith in grounded in God. My faith is what
Yes.
got me moving forward, and also my support system. And I want to go
Yes.
back, I want to go to that, because it's important for you to have allies, right? And
Yes.
support, and people to
Mhm.
make you feel safe enough,
Yes.
and you to be wise enough. For those that are believers, be wise enough to let the Lord lead you to someone to talk to, because there's
Yes.
someone probably that that have went through it, they just haven't spoken about it, right?
Yes.
There's things that
Absolutely.
women endure that we are silent, and especially African American women, because we are conditioned to power through any type
Mm.
of pain, right? We are
Ye-
conditioned to say we're going to get ourselves up and move forward.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
can look like, oh, she can go through anything. Oh, we can endure, but there is ways in which we can get through that with support, which can
Yes.
make the process easier,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
To have
Absolutely.
support is invaluable during those moments,
Yes.
right?
And
If you don't have
that
anyone,
is, I'm sorry,
no, go
and
ahead.
that's us as women, period.
Mhm.
We have to stop suffering silently. We have
Yes,
to stop suffering silently. And and it could be any situation. Some women don't have their mother anymore, so they're
yeah, yeah,
you ask God to send you a seasoned woman
yes,
that can
hmm
minister to you, to
hmm
for the questions that you need, that's going
yes,
on in your body.
hmm
And I want to shift to this, Tiffany, because we were touching on this before we
yeah,
started. Sometimes, if as a woman, if our mental is not balanced, we can begin, and there's though for those of the women that are married, can begin to say to our husbands, you know what, I can't have any kids, so I'll release you to go and sleep with someone to have a child
mm,
just so you can have it,
Jesus,
and then we can come back. There are women that
hmm
have that mental
yeah,
capability, and it goes back to what you were saying, Tiffany. The man has to be supportive to the woman to know that, in spite of, no matter
yeah,
what, we're doing this together. However, the
right,
decision is that you decide, however God's will is,
hmm
is You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I get you.
We
And
but
that's
we
why I said you, yeah, that's why I said that's why you
we
cannot
gotta
turn it
be
in.
able.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tiffany girl.
No, no,
I'm
no,
just
no. Go ahead. No, no. I was gonna say that's where you have to be careful. You cannot let that turn into idolatry in your life, because when you
yes,
do that, you will do anything, right?
yes, yes,
Anything to get this thing that you've made so big in your mind, so great
yes,
in your heart, a thing
yes,
that God has created, right? As a precious thing
yes,
to do and conceive and be a mother, you will turn that into something that's evil, right? And
yes,
you know, we've seen as Bible people that read the word of God, we see what that brings, right? If you look at the story of Sarah, what kind of chaos she caused in her household, right? She caused traumatic chaos by
yes,
not waiting on God, not
yes,
getting her mind in order, right? In that
yes,
way. And so we see
yes,
what that births and what that
yes,
can do to your life. And so you do have to make sure that your mind is sound through that process.
yes,
And if you're having those issues, there's nothing wrong with seeking a therapist. It's having
yes.
someone to speak
Say
to.
that.
You know, and there's Christian therapists. If you're a believer and you just feel like I want to talk to there's therapists that are there, that are
Ye-
in place, that are believers, they're in the field. Talk to them.
Yes,
Reach out
yes,
if you have the capability. If that's not a thing that you have access to, that's why it's a support system. Someone open, like you were saying, open yourself up to
hmm
speak to someone. But
yes,
also, because I want to say this too, because I've seen a lot of women, you know, connections and friendships that are strong and valuable and real.
mhm,
And I feel like there is a lie that's constantly put out there that women can't get along with each other, that no one will hold your secrets, or
yeah,
no one you can't talk to, and it's a lie to
yeah,
keep you isolated, right?
yes,
The enemy wants us isolated on an island, feeling like no one else has gone through what I've gone through. When you will be amazed how many women have endured this process.
yes,
We will be
yes,
amazed at the things that they've gone through. And if
yes,
you don't open your mouth to say, hey, I'm dealing with something here, this is the
yes,
issue. Do you know anything about it? If they don't know, can you refer me to someone, right?
yes,
Even if
yes,
you haven't dealt with a fertility issue, I guarantee
mhm,
you, every woman listening to this, or and you've known somebody that have. If you
yes,
haven't dealt with it yourself, you probably know somebody that have, and you could reach out to them and say, "Hey, what did you do?" Like, or what
yes,
happened with you? What was your story? All of those things are important, and I think that's why I was saying in the beginning of this, it is so amazing that you are opening this platform to have this
yes,
conversation, because so
yes,
many women don't feel like they have a place. They don't feel and they're
true.
afraid to speak what they're thinking.
And because they're afraid, is because of what comes out of our mouth. Girl,
Right.
you thinking about that?
Right.
What she it's a thought. That's where
Yes.
she is. So when she does the thought, get into your mind the spirit of God of ministering,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
there's a deep root of why she's
Something's going
going to
on.
that level.
Yes.
And
Yes.
our churches are not I am sorry, but our
Mhm.
churches are not,
Mhm.
some of them are not prepared to
Yeah, some of them
house
is.
that. And then you have these women that are going through what they're going through, and shouting over it is not going to do it. Because when you get done shouting, you're going to be faced. That's just like smoking
Oh my
over
goodness.
something or drinking over something. It's still going to
Exactly.
be there when you come down off of your high.
You're
So
right.
it's the same thing as our ministries. We got to have a platform for our men and women to
Alike.
come
Correct.
in and that safe haven and
Mhm.
minister. Allow the person, allow the individual, and I'm speaking of women right now, to
Yeah.
say, okay, because Tiffany brought it up. We're gonna deal with postpartum next
Yeah.
month. Um,
Yeah.
you
That
know,
because
I
that's a
feel
whole
like
nother journey.
come on, because you go through that. You know, I feel like I want to just wring my daughter's neck. Well, she's dealing with a chemical imbalance in her body because after, but we want to talk
Hormonally,
about her.
hormonally, mentally. the you can there's so much happening. And on top of that, when we are in God, right, in the kingdom, you are thinking like, I shouldn't be thinking like that. You know
Right.
why is that happening? These are thoughts, right, that happen, that can come
Yes.
into your mind, that you have to recognize and see what it is, what's
Yes.
happening, right? But you can
Yes.
admit you can come, it can be made worse when you are not able to speak to someone who has understanding, right?
Yes.
Or just have an open heart. Because I want to say this, you don't have
Yes.
to go through what someone has been through to actually help someone. You have to
That.
have the heart of compassion and the
Yes.
heart, the ear to hear, and the willingness to try to help, right?
Yes.
Mm, and
Absolutely.
we could get it wrong. Listen, you may not say all the right things. It happens.
Right.
Sometimes you might say
Right.
something wrong. A mom be like, "What's
Right.
wrong with you, girl?" Like, those things. But in the moment when you're like, "But I love you enough to still bear with you through it, to be
Yes.
here." Sometimes people just need you to sit, listen, hear them out, let them speak to you. Then you'll be able to get the words while you're listening. You're hearing for the Holy Spirit to speak to you so that you can correctly deal with the underlining issues, right?
Ooh.
We know that there's underlying issues that are lying beneath the surface that has to be touched, has to be healed,
Yes.
has to be dealt with. And a lot of
Yes.
people, a lot of women attach them having a child, right? And
Yes.
it has a lot of things that could be doing something, dealing with their childhood, right? Things that
Yes.
they dealt with
Yes.
in their childhood that connected to them to believing that if I'm a mom, I'm gonna fulfill this great purpose in
Yes.
my life, right? There's
Yes.
things that people endure and go through, and they don't even know why they're so fixated on it. They don't even know
Yeah.
why. They're like, why? I don't even know why I'm so. But if as you begin to talk, when you begin to
Yes.
unfold, it'll
Yes.
reveal itself in the conversation, right? Because
Absolutely.
that's what therapists do. They make you talk to them, and
Yes.
you begin to speak out of your own mouth the real issue
Come on, Tiffany.
as they continue to just ask you simple questions, to dig
It's
a
the
little
truth.
deeper, to dig a little deeper. And let me say this:
Yes.
take the time. Don't be afraid to take the
Yes.
time. Like, take the
Yes.
time and be a support because someone needs you. And that someone
Yes.
could be your daughter, your niece, your
Yes.
cousin, right? We're looking all around the mulberry bush. It might be right underneath your nose in your household.
Right.
Be
Right.
ready, right? Be
Yes.
open, not just
Yes.
to think the worst, but let's deal with what's going on here. Why do
And
you
be
really
patient
feel that
enough
way?
to listen. Be
Yeah, that
patient enough to wait. Don't respond immediately.
yeah,
Be patient.
yeah, that's key.
Allow the individual to talk their way through it. It's like talking them, they can talk themselves off of the
Hmm.
edge.
Hmm.
You just got to keep talking to them.
Yeah, you have
Before they
to,
know
and
it,
yeah,
they're
no,
feeling
you're
this.
right. You're right, because you have a conversation. It started here, but we end up here. How do we? Because
Yes.
we know that it's navigated that way on purpose, right? And they
Yes.
purposely talk
Yes.
to you, right? Sometimes people speak to you like, why are they talking to me? Because
Yes.
it was ordained for them to talk to you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we could be
Yes.
in our own thoughts, our own minds, our own frustrations, right? We have to put that stuff aside to really be willing.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a work, but it's worth it
Yes.
if you're able to save somebody from really a traumatic experience, or feeling like they're
Yes.
losing their mind when when you truly aren't. A lot of times
Absolutely.
it's really you're not losing it. A lot of things people have experienced it. It's not
Yes.
something where it's just so far fetched that nobody else has experienced that. And that's
Yes.
the lie that you will tell yourself, I'm the only one, so this is terrible. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be thinking
Yes.
this way. It was so, and also I had to also get out my mind how I imagined it to be, right?
Mhm.
Because what we imagine our life to be like may not be the way God has designed it to be.
Right.
And I say
Right.
that in a way in which you could just feel like, okay, I'm gonna get married. We're not gonna have any issues. I waited till marriage. God is just gonna bless our union in this way, right? God is just gonna bless our union in this way, and it's gonna come out exactly this way, right? You
Yes.
you have to take those right. You know what I'm saying? You really have to take those ideologies and mindset and bring them under because
Mm.
you can really trip yourself up because it's not
No, you can't.
unfolding the way you feel like it should be unfolding.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
journey seems like it's harder than the next woman's journey. Don't feel like don't do not assume like
Yeah.
let's do that. Let's not assume that your journey is harder than the next woman's journey. You haven't
Right.
had a conversation with her about what she's dealt with. She ain't tell you what she's
Right.
dealt with. So don't make that assumption because we can assume that it's just gonna it's gonna be a beautiful, we're gonna frolic through the
Yes.
flowers, everything's gonna be hunky dory, right? I did it this way
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
really had to get God had to check me. Like I don't care about, yeah, you did it the way I told you to do it. Of course, you obeyed me, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean there's not gonna be things that you have to endure in the journey. Just because you did something,
Yes.
just because you got married and you're doing it, you didn't have kids before you got married and all of those things, just because you didn't do it that quote, you know what I'm saying? So you have to
Yeah.
understand that, hey, but that doesn't mean life doesn't have moments, and that's
Yeah.
okay, right? So you have to
Yes.
check yourself, check your mind, check your heart, check
Yes.
your spirit, because that's what really can bring true unhappiness to your covenant and your union, because it's not happening the way you want it to, and
So
it's not
true.
happening in the timing that you felt. Let me say this too, because I did pray a prayer. I did pray a prayer though, and I didn't realize it. I said, God, if I don't have a child before I'm 40 years old, I don't want to have children. I had said this.
Okay.
Didn't know I
Okay.
said I didn't. Holy Spirit will bring he'll
Yeah.
remind her like, okay. And I gave birth to my daughter when I was 39 years old.
Wow.
Right, it was
Wow.
before my 6 months before my 40th birthday.
Wow. Now
So
that's something.
isn't that I was just like, and I said that a while because I was like, no, I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to be 45 out here carrying a child.
Yeah.
Like that's just not what I want to do. Now, if that's somebody else's
Right.
journey, okay. I was just like, Lord,
Yeah.
you hear me. This
Yeah.
is really not the journey I want to take. And God hears us, right? And I
Yes,
want
he
to
does.
make that clear. He hears us. He hears us
Yes.
when he speaks. When we speak, he honors our words, but also you have to be willing, surrendered to his will for your life. Surrendered in a way in which you know that it's perfectly happening the way it should.
Right.
That
And I
you're
want to.
in. Yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say you're in that perfect timing. Like
Yes.
you can be in a rough place right now. To the woman that's dealing with a fertility issue, you could be in a very rough place right now and
Yes.
have gotten a
Yes.
really bad prognosis, right? I want to
Yes.
tell you that it's happening in God's way, his God's timing. Trust his
Yes.
plans. Trust the
Mm.
way he ordains things, because I'm going to tell you it's going to work out perfectly for you, because his
Yes.
plans for us are good. They are good. Every plan is good. The plans
Yes.
we don't understand is still good, right? Even though through the valleys, right? Even in the valley,
Good.
it is still good. He is
Yes.
provision, right? He will
Yes.
sustain your mind. He will
Yes.
sustain your heart. He will give you joy. He will allow you to
Yes.
find joy even in seeing someone else conceive. Because that's another thing,
Yes.
in that valley, in that when we're going through that in the valley, we can, because you want it so bad for yourself, you will tend to not want to be joyous for your loved ones,
Yes.
right? It'll cause you
Yeah.
to not have joy when you're like, oh, they're like, we're having a baby. You're like, oh, okay.
You
Like,
become bitter.
yeah, don't be
You
bitter
become
with
bitter.
the process,
Yes.
right? Because you
Yes.
don't know what's on the other side of that, right? Had I
Right.
just stuck in that place of bitterness, of sorrow, sadness, we wouldn't see the fruit
Right.
and the
Right.
joy of the journey, because
Yes.
my daughter is the joy at the end of the journey. It was
Yes.
a journey to get there, but through the process, I'm like, I grew stronger in my faith, right?
Yes.
I grew stronger in my
Yes.
understanding. It helped me be more compassionate, to other
Okay.
women to have understand, because going through those things, it gives you compassion in a way that I I thought I was compassionate before, but it made me even more compassionate, right?
Yes.
It made me
Yes.
realize even more and be mindful of what I say to women.
Yes.
Things I
Yes.
didn't think about, right? Things I didn't even
Exactly.
consider, right? I didn't
Yeah.
consider asking a new couple, are you, when you're having a baby, as a problem. I didn't think that could be problematic,
Yeah.
right? Because I
Yeah.
was not, I was just like, like everybody else, like, oh, y'all married now, y'all having kids, and
Yeah.
just in the
We
joy
didn't
of
know.
it, right? You didn't
Yes.
know what that could mean to someone. But
Right.
going through what I went through and through that process, now I have even more compassion. Now
Yeah.
my heart is open and tender, right? There's a tenderness now more, like you kind of, okay, let me not ask that, because
Yeah.
let them open the gate of it. Let me figure
Right.
out how to navigate it, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so being going through the process of everything you experience, it's to better us, and it
Yes.
empowers us in a way that we are able to help the next person. And I'm
Right.
going through that experience got me to this point to have this conversation with you, and to have everybody that's listening hear my journey, my story, right? And it can encourage someone listening that I don't even know, right? You
And
don't
let
know
me
where, like,
interject.
go
If
ahead.
you want her to speak at your event or at a private setting, this is her email address. Please reach out to her. She loves to do this because she loves to help, and she is a wealth of resource. So please reach out to her and get her in your program. Get her, have her in that setting, because she's listen. As you can hear, she knows her stuff. And I want to encourage those women because there
Yeah.
are a percentage of women, because back in the day, they didn't try to resolve um,
Oh,
our our female issues. They just gave
no.
them a hysterectomy and that was it.
You're
Um,
100% true. It's still that's still today.
yeah, yeah,
That's still an issue today for a lot of women.
yeah,
In particular, I want to, in the African American community, I have to say that's something that a friend of mine has been experiencing now, and she was like,
yeah,
I didn't know I had other resources, or there was
yeah,
other treatments. I want to say that
yes.
she
But be
wasn't, she
encouraged.
didn't, be encouraged,
Be
right?
encouraged. Make new memories, as Tiffany brought it out. Go through adoption or be a mentor. There are
Yeah,
other ways. Not allow the enemy
yes,
to mess with your mind and make you
yes,
think that you're lesser of because that happened and you don't, you can't have kids. Now I know women that have, honey, they did the hysterectomy.
yes,
They done had a child. One of my friends went through that
yeah,
absolute miracle, and they had to house it in another form.
yeah,
But she had a baby. She had a baby
yeah.
girl. So be encouraged, women. Be encouraged. Listen, we're gonna have Tiffany back because listen, we're gonna have her back in June because we are gonna deal with the different situations of women,
Yeah,
and we are gonna deal with postpartum. Um,
yes,
because that is really the, baby, that thing will take you out if you're not focused and if you don't really, really, really have a relationship with God and really just the mercy of God that will keep us in the midst of that postpartum.
yeah.
So
I
we
have
are
so many
David.
things oh, I can't wait for
Oh,
that conversation,
yes,
because
we're
there
gonna
is
have her
one.
back. I'm definitely going to have her back. Tiffany, thank you. Thank you for
Oh,
everything. You've jogged some memories for my own self
mm,
of that disconnect I had and that I didn't do, that I
yeah,
didn't have that total conversation. So
yeah,
thank you for what you gave to us. I receive what you gave
yeah.
us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate this time. I love you so much, Phoebe. I'm so, so blessed that you even thought of me. It is a privilege and an honor. I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank
And it's
you.
just a joy. Anytime
Yes.
I'm available to speak.
Please reach out to her. Please. And mom, mom is gonna always encourage lost a
Mhm,
praying woman. Yes.
mhm.
So I do
Yes.
want to say that for the next 2 weeks I won't have my show because we're
Oh,
moving and got a lot going on. But we will be back. So for the beginning of June, yeah, the beginning of June, I will be dealing with women in ministry. We got first ladies, we got
yes.
assistant supervisors, and these women are candid, okay? Because
Yes.
we want positions, but we don't know what comes with the positions
Mhm.
that we're desiring and wanting.
Yeah.
And they're married and they have children. You know what I'm saying?
Woo.
So we're going to deal with that. And then we're going to roll back and we're going to bring
Mhm.
Tiffany back. And we're going to have some other women on here talking about the postpartum and just things that women are dealing with. Thank
Yeah.
you, Evangelist Carter, Inspired Missionary Craig. I saw you on here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. You have a
Yes.
blessed Monday and a blessed week, and
Yes.
let somebody know that you love them and that God
Mhm.
loves them too. All right. Oh, thank you, Mama Moss. Love you too. Go,
Thank
women.
you.
Yes, baby. Go, women. All right. You guys have a good one. Tiffany, you stay there. Hold on.
Okay.